did mention in your book, which I thought was quite interesting, is the fact Eisenhower's famous statement at the end of his presidency about the military-industrial complex, which is another form of trust, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're familiar with a book by Jane Mayer. It's called Dark Money, where she points out pervasiveness of politicians in gaining for corporations their desires.
Yeah, so as I've said earlier on, I really fear the social consequences of a great deal of this.
Yeah.
Jobs are so important, and also being fair to people is very important as well. And that is not happening.
There used to be a time in a corporation where the CEO, the most highly paid person in the management field, would earn 40 times what the lowest paid employee earned. It's now up to 400 times that. In fact, it's ludicrous the amount of wages that are at the same time. If you look back to Eisenhower's time and you take a look at how the tax system was set up, there were 24 tax brackets at that time. 24 tax brackets, with the highest tax bracket, this is for individual income tax, being over 90%. And now we've reduced both the taxes and we've increased the incomes, so inevitably you're going to have a class of people that are running away with the wealth. Governments have to have some income in order to implement the things that people need, the necessities of life, whether it be food, shelter, clothing, or health care, whatever. These things cannot be left to corporations to provide, because they will not be provided, especially when you've got the difference in incomes.
It's going to be a huge step, isn't it, to get from here to there. I mean, I tend to agree. I think taxation is the stability of civilization.
No.
But too many politicians, I don't think they agree with this, they just think short term all the time.
Well, even Adam Smith, who is the father of capitalism, suggested that if you earn more, you pay more. So it's not new, it's the way it was. And if we think that it's just intended, everything is going to be based upon the market economy, including income and wealth, then all we're headed for is a Darwinian form of economics. The best man wins and everybody else is left behind.
What about trust busting? Because this is one of my things. We're not doing that anymore. We're not breaking up these companies. We should be.
This got to be a real serious problem in the early 1900s, and anti-combines laws were put in place to do that. And you're absolutely right. This has ceased to be an important portion. Essentially what's happened is that there is no regulation of that any longer. And governments have been led to believe by the conventional wisdom that corporations will provide the employment, so you don't have to worry. Just let us go and we will provide the employment. Well, that hasn't happened. And that hasn't happened for a long time. Now, as far as trust busting is concerned, you must take a look at companies, and I hate to point out any particular one, but the one that is most egregious, in my opinion, is Amazon. Amazon has learned how to be a distributor, how to get payment, and how to pass on to the customer the goods that they have provided. And essentially what they've done is they've cut out many of the smaller businesses that used to do that, and in actual fact we have a situation where in fact employment is declining because of that sort of thing, and they are way too big. And of course the banks are way too big. The banks have been a problem for years. Back in the 50s and 60s in Canada, and a little bit around the same time in the United States, banks that were not allowed into certain categories of business, and that was changed very dramatically in the 1990s.